Hello and welcome back to the Ealing Road podcast. I'm here at Manchester Victoria straight after Brentford's 2-1 defeat against Manchester City. This is the immediate reaction video where I'm going to run through some of the key talking points from the game. Some things I could have felt Brentford did better, but overall I think the overriding emotion today is, again, we come away from the Etihad and it's not a feeling of disappointment. I think it's more a feeling of really proud about how we played. I don't think we were played off the park in any instance. I think that first half in particular, and I tweeted out on the Ealing Road podcast account, I think that first half in particular was probably the best we played since Man City away in 2022. I think I heard somewhere, and I haven't checked this, and I probably should have before I started recording, but I read somewhere that we had 73% possession in the first 15 minutes. But just wow, that start was just incredible. We get the goal and it wasn't as if we were going to rest on our laurels, and I was kind of worried as well because we saw Ipswich score really early at Manchester City a couple of weeks ago and how fast that kind of turned around, and I think City were 3 or 4-1 up very quickly, or I think they ended up winning 4-1, but they were 3-1 up quite quickly after Ipswich got the opener. But wow, that start from Brentford was just electric. I think the way we set up, I was really happy with the lineup. I like to see Sepp van den Berg in. It was difficult to get a real good look at him at Colchester just because of the level of opposition. But in terms of that five at the back, I think he slotted in really, really well and he looked really comfortable. Chris Ayer on the right was really, really good. Again, coming down the left, I think completely forgot who's playing there now. But coming down the left, it was all really adding up just really well. I think Damsgaard in particular was absolutely fantastic. His link up with Mbeumo and Wissa in particular, really, really, really good. I think what Wissa gives you when we set up in that five is almost not the same as Tony, but his attributes really match up well to Tony's. I think his hold-up play, when he gets the ball and he spins, how he brings Brian into play. I noticed a few times in that first half how quickly Wissa would get his head up and look for Brian, even if Brian hadn't made the run. And I was reading an article that Brentford released a few days ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, talking about Johan Wissa and Brian Mbeumo's relationship off the pitch and how that translates to on the pitch. And it sounds like they're great mates, and you can tell that there's a real synergy between those two. And I've just remembered who was playing at left back now, Keane Lewis-Potter. Again, playing out of position, but fantastic. Again, I really can't fault Keane Lewis-Potter. I feel like the last time I really criticised him, or we really criticised him on the podcast, was a very, very long time ago. And that's come as well. The last time I've seen him play in his preferred position at left wing was also a very, very long time ago. So he's asked to be doing something really different, and he's coming up against Savinho, who's been just electric since the Premier League season started, and he did a really, really good job. So the first half, I think, was so good. We really, really played them off the park, I thought, especially in that first 20 minutes. Obviously, Haaland gets the equaliser, but even after the equaliser, we were still really good. I feel like the turning point in the game was Haaland's second and Wissa going off, because it meant that Kevin Schade would come on. And we've touched on it before on our podcast, that Kevin Schade, whilst you would think he would be the one to come in straight for Keane Lewis-Potter if we're playing in a 4, the front three of Schade, Mbeumo and Wissa, that's your preferred front three. But what you lose from Wissa, you really struggle to get from Schade when he comes on playing in a 2. And I feel like from today, maybe that's the only criticism I'd level at Thomas Frank, is that when Schade came on, we didn't really change our playing style to suit Schade's game. You want to get him in those isolated 1v1s, and I don't remember many times, if at all, that he got into those positions. Instead, he was trying to occupy the same space as Wissa does, but he doesn't have the hold-up play capabilities that Johan does. So maybe that was my only criticism of Frank. I think going through the team, Norgard, superb. Pinnock, I feel really sorry for, because I actually think he did a really good job of holding down Haaland. But I've watched the goal back now, and Haaland's movement for his second goal is just, he's deadly. The guy is just a freak, an absolute freak. The fact that he was even playing today after what happened in midweek was crazy. But if you watch that goal back, you see he reads the flight of the ball, he gets in front of Pinnock, makes sure that he can get his body in between Pinnock and the ball, doesn't need to foul him, he just needs to stand, and it's just a perfect screen, and he slots it past Flecken. And I think I heard what Craig told me at half time, that people were giving Flecken stick for Haaland's second, saying that he could have done more. Haaland has scored that goal at least 3 times this season already, so that was absolute nonsense. Anyway, moving on to the second half, I think that was where the game kind of got away from us, but it was credit to us that we managed to stay in the game. I think City definitely had a couple of chances to wrap things up. I think Savinho might have had one cleared off the line. I couldn't really see it from the away end, but it goes to show that if we're going to go to Man City and we're going to win or get something from the game, we have to take those chances in the first half. I think Damsgaard may have had a good one, and Bumo certainly had a good one. And if we're going to go to Man City and get a result, then you kind of need to be tucking those away. There was a few instances of some nice build-up play from Brentford in the second half. There was one in particular where we built all the way out back from Chris Ayer's position. I think Ayer and Nathan Collins did really well to kind of get it out of the left-hand side. We build it in the midfield. Norgard knocks into Damsgaard. Keane Lewis Potter gets hold of it, or maybe Fabio Carvalho gets hold of it, who I thought was really good when he came on, by the way. But we just failed to get that pass off in the final third. And then the last chance of note that I remember was another really good move, really nice flowing football through the middle of the park. Gets worked out to Shard, who takes a brilliant first touch, and then Verslev doesn't get his cross wrong. I think he hung it up to the perfect point at the back post, but no one was there to finish. And I think it ends up coming back out to Yarmo on the edge of the box, and he kind of just trickles the shot wide. I'm not really sure he got a hold of it that much. But yeah, it's not an opportunity missed because it's Man City, so we didn't really go there with anything apart from hope. We didn't go there with expectation. But obviously, with it being Man City and what happened a couple of seasons ago, you do kind of go there with more optimism than you normally would going to a Big Six club. So that was maybe, I'm not construing it as a negative, I'm just saying that's what it was. A couple of other things I wanted to touch on. I thought the playing out from the back, Mark Fleckham looks so accomplished, and we've touched on it so many times. Playing out from the back, I think his distribution is as good, if not potentially even better than David Raya's. The only times I do get nervous, and credit to Thomas Frank and the way he wants to set up this season, but I do get nervous when we do play around with it from the back. But I don't remember, I think maybe we conceded one chance from playing around from the back, or playing out from the back, sorry. And I thought, just in terms of how composed Ethan Pinnock and Nathan Collins and Mark Flecken all look on the ball under pressure from Man City, who are one of the best teams in the world, it was just really positive to see. And yeah, I think that's about as much as I can summarise it in 10 minutes. But it was a good performance. I rated the fact that we didn't come there to just sit back and defend. I think in the first 30 minutes, like I said, Brentford's probably best performance since Man City away in 2022. But we come away with it with 2 wins and 2 losses from 4. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I think in the Palace game we were fantastic. In the Southampton game we were fantastic. And the 2 title challenges of last season, Liverpool and Man City, we've not been out of those games by any stretch of the imagination. So we come away from the Etihad disappointed because we stayed in the game for that long. So as the time goes on, you kind of do feel like, well, maybe we could get something. And fucking hell, that away end would have absolutely erupted if we did. I'm going to play that Yarmo chance back in my head so many times, because if that finds the bottom corner, wow, scenes close to what we got a couple of years ago when Ivan Toney got the winner. But it's definitely very positive. I think if anyone comes away from that game thinking anything else apart from so proud of the team, they need to give you a wobble. But yeah, I think that's a good way to summarise it. The Elam Road podcast will be back in the next couple of days for a full-time review, and then we'll be back a couple of days after that with a full sorry, I'm really mincing my words here, but with a preview of Spurs away next week. Thank you for listening. Hope all those that travelled get safely home, and yeah, other bees.